Hey, all right, everybody. I'm sitting here with my good buddy, Andy Meatwagon. What's going on, Andy?
Good to see you again, man. It's been weeks.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. Now your mom's going to be able to...
Yeah, back for round two.
Yeah. So what's going on? Any good juicy news?
Juicy news, newest news. No, just picked up a couple new gigs for Strict 999, but nothing super juicy or good.
We're in San Diego?
One in San Diego on May 31st at the, I don't even know what the name of this bar is called, but it's the one at 35th and El Cajon, 6 o'clock show. And we just picked up a show in Long Beach at D Piazzas with Solution Mortal and some other bands.
I saw that they were playing again, man.
Yeah.
I'm old.
I'm old.
Those guys are old.
Yeah.
And a new record was coming out, or it came out?
No, we have the two albums out now. We're working on our third now. We're writing songs for the third one.
Is a workflow on doing that?
Workflow? How do you mean?
Creating. How do you... Everybody does it a little different.
Mostly I come up with some riffs and then we go to band practice and work it out. And if there's parts missing, we try to hammer something out right then and there and work out an arrangement and basically work at it over a practice or two or three until it gels together and we come up with something. And we're happy with it. But, you know,
You're the main riff writer? You're
Yeah.
the riff raff?
Yeah, pretty much. I can't say that I write all the music, but our bass player writes some.
Yeah.
And our drummer also plays guitar and bass. He doesn't really write the riffs per se, but he's good at suggesting this or that, or helping arrange things. And
you know, it all comes down to really is if you guys can communicate with
Yeah.
each other really good. And, you know, that right there is the main thing.
that's the thing. It's like these people are kind of easy to work with, and it's just like if we're trying something and it's not working, you know, instead of just getting frustrated and throw down your instruments and saying this isn't working, fuck this. You know, we'll suggest something else. It's like, well, what if we try this? Well, what about that?
Our drummer, I go, dude, you try this part, you know, like a little, you know, I play drums a little bit, but I can hear something different, you know, and then they can tell me, so man, why don't you do this in the vocal?
As long as you don't have someone that's like, don't fucking tell me how to play, you know?
Like, oh, really? Okay.
It's like, well, you know, if it was working, I wouldn't make any suggestions, you know? But, you know.
You don't need those people. You get them out. Sooner the better.
Yeah. So these people are good to work with, and, you know, we can communicate well. And if somebody says, you know, I don't like that riff, why don't we change it? I have no problem changing stuff around.
What's the practice schedule like?
Just once a week. We're down to once a week.
That's good. That's
I could kind of do two. I used to do two. When I was in Meatwagon, we would do two.
How long is the one practice a week?
Usually about an hour and a half.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
Man. Once you get your shit down, that's all you need.
Yeah.
You know, you just want to save that for when you're at a show and stuff.
Oh yeah. I mean, we almost never get out there and like, let's run through the set list. We don't do that. We get out there and like work on something new. It's always working on something new. If we have a show coming up, we'll write up a set list and we'll go through it once.
It's always fun.
But you
it's
know,
like work on new shit. And like,
yeah, that's pretty much why we do it. You know, it's always try to do something new.
You're an implant. You're a
Transplant, I guess.
Transplant.
This is true.
From
Connecticut.
Connecticut.
Yes, born in New York, Queens, New York. Like my guys, Murphy's Law.
And now I'm trying to think, what the hell was that name of your goddamn band you were in? The
Bomb Squad, yes.
Bomb Squad.
Yeah.
I almost got it.
Yeah. So I was from Connecticut, and I started with my punk rocking back then. That's when I lived there in '78. Graduated high school and started like really getting into punk rock seriously.
See, that's like when it really started, pretty much everywhere. But to be where you were at would be a hell of a lot different than in California. I would think.
It was a lot different because I was in a small town about 110, 120 miles from New York, and it might as well have been, you know, another planet because it's not like I was going to just go down there. I wasn't really the type that would jump in my car and go down there and check things out. Plus, I didn't really know very much about punk rock, and when I did finally learn about it, it's just like, oh, geez, the Sex Pistols. Well, they just broke up. The Dead Boys. Oh, they just broke up. You know, and you know, Things were changing. You know,
Right.
the Damned had just broken up. I'm like, I missed it. You know, and then someone said, "Oh, you should check out this stuff." There's like bands from Washington D.C. and Boston and stuff. And people give me
Like SSD.
SSD and like Minor Threat first single. I'm just like, whoa, look at this. This is incredible.
Limited edition one right there, the outtake.
So I was very happy to hear it. It's like, wow, there's like, you know, not only is there still punk rock, but there's new punk rock, younger people from all over the place. You know, all those bands had a Johnny Appleseed type effect. They started playing.
So I know you had a few shows with your band,
Bomb Squad, yeah.
Bomb Squad.
Yeah, that was my second band.
Okay. Now,
That's-
who's the first?
The first band was called, I think, The Spins or something like that.
Spins.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, like the bed spins. Like every goes like, oh my God, you sit down, you got the spins, you know. Whoa!
I used to get that
Yeah.
from drinking. too
Hell yeah, that was pretty much our mission. And we were a basement and like backyard party band at best. And did that for a couple of years in the early '80s.
Play like one kind of
Yeah.
big show.
Yeah, we played a big show and it went really well and everything. Everybody was happy with it, but you know.
How about the people that came and saw you? How was the crowd? Was it small or-
No, it was a good sized crowd. People had known me in that, you know, people in that crowd already knew me and they were just like, oh my God, you guys are playing a show I want to come see. So,
I don't know.
so yeah, we went crazy. It was fun.
You,
So then we promptly broke up the band and, you know,
is that when
I
you
moved
got-
on to another one.
That's when you got in your car and headed out west?
No, I started in with another band, and then we, came up with a set of original songs with my friend Dan, and somebody had like a little 4-track or 8-track studio there in Connecticut, and we went in and recorded the songs and got them played on college radio, and somebody put it on like a local compilation
We were
album.
talking about that the other night.
Yeah.
The other night about, man, the first time you hear yourself like on the radio,
It was unbelievable.
It's just
I
like-
couldn't believe
it's
it.
like, wow.
I was kind of aware that they had the tape or they had the record and they were going to play it. But when they actually did, you know, that's just like, oh my God. You want to call up all your friends on the landline and go, they're playing me. They're playing our
I used
song.
to get out my goddamn cassette player and like record the shit. You know?
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, it was just crazy. The first time you see like your name on a record or something, or your picture on an album
Yeah.
cover, you're just like, oh my God.
It's pretty
And that
cool.
was, 84, I guess.
And you're like, what, 20 something?
Oh no, I was 24. I was 23, 24
Yeah.
then. Yeah. But you know, that was like probably all the ambition I ever had in music is, you know, look,
Yeah, but look at
you
now.
you joined a band and you made a song and recorded it and somebody put it on a record.
That's
it's just
it,
like,
I'm done.
and then they played it on the radio.
The dream has been.
Success. Yeah. There you go.
So how do we end up getting in that damn car and coming out here by yourself, right?
Yeah. Well,
That's
where I
good.
lived, I was about 45 minutes from Providence, Rhode Island, and
That's like way up isn't that
it's the Northeast. Yeah, it's New England, man.
way up there, right?
Yeah. Well, it's in between Boston and New York, you know? But yeah, right up there on the coast. And, but I saw that like all the top bands of the day would go and play in Providence. So I saw like all the best first and second wave hardcore bands all came through playing matinee shows.
Was there a couple clubs there? Or?
Yeah. There was a couple really good,
They had those at
Yep.
CBGBs too.
all ages matinees.
Yeah.
Or they would do a two-first show. They would play all ages matinee and then an 18 and up show after.
So a lot of touring bands and
All the touring bands, you know, I got to see and hang out and because I've quickly realized it's like bands come through and, you know, they don't know anybody in Providence. They're just hanging out, you know, drinking a beer after their show. So, you know, I'd go up and say, hey, you guys are great. So I met Suicidal Tendencies and the Offenders and DC bands and Boston bands and New York bands, all kinds of
did
people.
you meet Mikey Offender?
I did meet Mikey Offender.
We played with them at CBGBs.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a cool dude, man.
What a phenomenal, well, he was, I guess. But yeah, what a phenomenal band.
Yeah.
Absolutely
In
incredible.
that same show, we played with another band from they're from Germany. And now
The Upright
I can't think of their name.
Citizens.
They had two bass
Upright
players.
Citizens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
two bass players, man.
I remember when Upright Citizens came through, they had an album on BYO, I think, and they were playing on the East Coast. They're like, we're going to play a Social Distortion song. And everyone's like, boo. Well, Social Distortion just had the Mommy's Little Monster album out, but, I think everybody thought that they were junkies, and, they kind of dissolved right after that.
I mean, shit. Man.
Yeah, well, they pretty much dissolved right after that, So anyways, yeah, I'd seen, and every time I went up to Providence to go see all these bands, I would, you know how it is when you go to shows, you see the same people over and over. So eventually you just start talking to them, and I realized, well, I guess I could meet some people outside my hometown, and I should probably move up here, save the back and forth. If I want to be in a band, you got to be where the people are.
So then you moved
right?
up there.
No, I didn't. I always thought I should either move to New York City, or I should move
New York City.
New York City. Well,
That'd be great, man. I love New York when I was.
Yeah, it was a minorly scary prospect, to be honest with you.
That's a crazy.
It was because it was during the Fun City. It wasn't like the cleaned up Giuliani, New York City. It was still Fun City.
It was New York City.
It was New York City back then. Yeah, so I was a little bit, scared to move there, to be honest with you. And out of the blue, two friends of mine moved to San Diego, and I said, San Diego, that's a great idea. Maybe I should move there too. I hadn't really planned on moving to California, but
You've never been,
No. But when I was a teenager, I loved California bands and Skateboarder magazine. And I'm skating and I'm looking at pictures of everything, going, look at all these places: El Cajon, Encinitas, Reseda, all these great skate parks. People are skating and going. I might have even seen you in Skateboarder magazine or Trans World or something.
Right?
Oh, huge amount of it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then I saw all the skateboarders are getting into punk rock. I'm like, get out of here. Really? Cool.
Hand in hand back then.
I had no idea. But then, I'm reading about this going, this is just too perfect. So when the idea came to move to California, I'm like, I think it was a great idea that I hadn't even.
How much money do you have on you? How much money do you have?
A couple $1,000s.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Right, good.
A few $1,000s.
Not like, I had fucking $4 in a.
Oh, no.
You're a smart man.
Oh, no. I had some money so that I could, I knew I could afford to rent a house at least and get started when I moved out here.
Well, when you got here, what'd you do? You sleep on the beach?
No. No, my friends were living in Mira Mesa in a house with some other people, and the agreement was I'll move out there and we'll all get a house together, which we did. So I had some housemates. I knew I had a semi-stable living condition to go to. So I moved out here and just figured, let's see what's going on out here. Who are those punks out there? Well, punk rockers must live out here somehow.
Let's ask you something like that. So when you came out here, or maybe when you were back there, give me something. Tell me something. Last time you told me some funky ass shit about some guy going off the. I want you to tell me something about a show that you went to that you were just like, what the fuck? Or like, oh, this is super cool. Give me some meat and potatoes. How about when you first got here? What was the first show that you went?
Very first show. Well, I got here and within a day or two, I asked my friends, it's like, well, where are the punk rock shows in San Diego? They're like, oh, I don't think there's anything like that. I don't think that goes on in San Diego. I go, oh, get out of here. I know it does.
That was 84? I know 85.
This is 80, very start of 86. Okay. I said, no, there's got to be. Oh, yeah, there was. I said, no, you just don't know. Yeah. It's going on, but we'll find it. I got a copy of the Reader, or I went to Lose Records or something maybe, and I found out there's a show in Normal Heights, Adams Avenue Theater, Megadeth, The Mentors, who I knew quite a bit about at that point, and Prowler opening.
Prowler.
So I told my friends, come on, let's go down to Adams Avenue Theater and go see the show. And they're like, oh, Normal Heights, I don't know. That's like a rough neighborhood, man. I'm like, oh come on. Well, they didn't have much relative experience,
I lived over there.
They lived in Mira Mesa, It's like safe as milk, and it's a planned community, and when it rains all the water drains off perfectly, and every home's exactly the same. So it's like you tell them
go solo.
Yeah. No, I got one of my friends to go with me. So we went down there. Oh my God. Enjoyed Prowler, to be honest with you. Pretty good metal band. Loved the Mentors. Loved the whole vibe of everything at the Adams Ave Theater. It was just amazing. We started watching some of Megadeth, and I thought, these guys are like freaking rock star wannabes. And, I think we went outside and drank a little more and split.
What's name was in the band then? Dave Mustaine?
Oh, yeah. It's always Dave Mustaine. But it was like, early, 1986 Megadeth. Pretty early Megadeth, I guess. They were probably at the height of their powers, but I thought that, after seeing the Mentors, I thought that Megadeth was like posers.
Yeah,
that was me.
They'd be like, stick their nose up in the air.
I don't know, but they were, what can I say?
Well, then somewhere along the line, you had to hit yourself over to the Spirit Club, the Wabash Hall.
Yep. Shortly after that, I went to the Spirit Club and saw like the Circle Jerks and Ministry of Truth, and had an absolute blast hanging out with all the people and meeting the locals and seeing the Circle Jerks again.
Yeah, Circle Jerks, man.
I've seen the Circle Jerks more times than any other classic punk band you can think of. I don't know why the Circle Jerks, but probably because they never quit and they always came around to play, so I always go to see them. And they were always good.
Yeah. I liked them the mostest when they had Lucky Lear, man. That's fucking insane drummer. He played drum.
Oh, yeah. Have you ever seen any? Ever seen any of his drum videos on MTV?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that guy's good.
Oh, did I ask you last time what the trivia question was?
The trivia?
Yeah. I don't even know how to ask it quite. See, I should have had this. Okay, well, in Wasted Youth,
Yes.
Youth, and Circle Jerks.
Yes. Chet Lehrer. There you go.
There you
Come
go.
on, you're not going to burn me on that.
Did I ask you that last time?
I was a voracious punk rock record collector before I ever moved to California. Yeah, part of my introduction, getting into punk rock was just like, where do you get punk rock records? You go to the local store, they don't have punk rock records. But, I found some stores in the import section. It's just like you can find a little something here and there. Then they some guy opened up a used record store in the little town that I lived in. And I went in and said, you don't happen to any punk rock records? He's like, I don't even know what that is. And he's like, but I have this catalog here and you can order whatever you want. I'm like, oh, let me see that. So I started.
How many times did you go to the record store and you bought them damn records just off the cover? You never even heard of them.
Oh, lots of times. Lots of times. Lots of times.
Quite a few of the ones I got from off the record, man, this has got to be fucking cool, man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Lots of times. Lots of times,
$3.
Yeah. That's the thing. You can afford to take a risk on some stuff. And if you didn't like it, no big deal, But, he had catalogs for Mordam and Dutch East India and Gem and Green World. So I could pick whatever I wanted. So I just started, checking off stuff. And he realized that it's like, well, geez, I'll buy this stuff and I'll buy an extra copy and see if anybody else buys it. And so he started selling punk rock records. And then,
You know what sucks nowadays is it costs more fucking money, 3 times as much or so, to send a 45 or something to another country.
Yeah, I know.
Through the mail. Back in the day, we'd soak the stamps and send them back and forth. It didn't cost us shit, Put the soap over the stamp. Send it to them, and then they take a little sponge.
Yeah, it's ridiculous sending stuff over to England and places like that because they have to go, Royal Mail or whatever.
It's nuts. Back and forth for the longest. Trade tapes, it's fucking cool. Now it's like, you got the internet. Fuck.
Yeah, well,
It's cool. You quick connection and shit on stuff, but still, man, to get a killer 45. That's why we still put vinyl out. That's why you guys still put vinyl out because it's fucking cool, man. You get the artwork. It's, it's
yeah, something to hold in your hand. Yeah,
and they do sound better.
I like having CDs or vinyl or whatever. I don't mind mailing it off to people.
Looking at a little thumbnail.
No, I can't see. I'm old and blind, Vince.
We sold 8 billion streams or whatever, and we got fucking $200,
10 cents,
$100.
Dave Quinn's the only person I know that makes money on the streaming. Somehow he's doing it right.
That much.
Well, more than I'm making, that's for sure.
Hey man,
and it's only taken him 40 years to do it. 40 years of nonstop world touring.
He's out.
You know, it was strange when I first moved to San Diego. I'd start hanging out with a bunch of people, and that's when I realized, oh, a lot of these people, I don't even know if they're punk rockers. They're like thrash metal people, you know? It's like it's a lot of it's really the same, but a lot of it's really different too. It's like kind of the approach, you know, they're much more into the rock star, rock and roll band stuff, long hair and,
Well, some
pointy
of them
guitars and
figure
stuff,
out
man.
What they fucking want, what they like, you know.
Well, there's a crossover,
Yeah,
but it's
whatever.
crossing over from someplace. I was always coming at it from the punk rock edge
But there's
rather than the other way.
Some of those bands played in San Diego, man. They said the wrong thing and the right or wrong people, however you want to look at it, were in the audience and they caught a whooping.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that was you want to know what was it like when I moved here and started going to shows. It was definitely strange and different. I wasn't really used to going to hall shows. I wasn't used to seeing gangs going around beating on each other. I wasn't used to seeing people fucked up on methamphetamine.
It's weird though.
Yeah.
Back then.
Yeah, it's weird. Every show you go to, you would expect at least to see some blood.
You know what?
At least.
Man, back then,
If not
we had
lots
a
of blood,
lot
and
of fun, though.
you know.
A lot
Yeah.
of fun.
Oh, I must
Yeah,
admit,
shows,
saw some
man.
really good shows. But,
San Diego, pretty
crazy
quiet.
place. That's when I realized
Very
it's like,
violent.
oh my goodness, it's just like, San Diego's a little pressure cooker scene here. And it's like, and not only that, but it's like there's a whole bunch of different scenes. It's a whole community of micro scenes. It's just like the PB people don't really know the Spring Valley people, don't really know the IB people or the North County people. And,
You think they would?
They
They
are.
should be able to get along with each other.
You would think.
They're not like a big, huge faction. Of
Well,
people,
it's like that's where the gang aspect of it comes in.
Yeah.
People are just like very, suspect of other people from, outside your local mentality,
Yeah.
I mean, where I came from in Connecticut, people didn't want to leave their hometown,
Look at you.
because there's a big, scary world out there with scary
Yeah,
people, scary people like you
Came
who,
and fucking fought that scary world.
Well, I got punched in the face too, so pretty soon realized that my smart ass East Coast
Well,
ways, I should probably tone that
When
down a
you're in
little.
East Coast, you got punched in the face.
No, here,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Was it by one of the?
yeah,
Was it?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I didn't know who the hell I was talking to, I guess. So
What did you?
okay, I can take a punch in the face
know,
too. I
I
mean,
know,
it wasn't
I
a
mean,
big.
but did
It
you-
really wasn't a big deal. It's
Did
just
you,
more surprising than anything
what
else.
garnered the free punch? I mean.
Oh, I told somebody to fuck off.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
All right.
Evidently, somebody who didn't just
And it was like
it was like that's like a casual no thank
it
you
was
where
like
I
one of
come
those
from.
quick voice activated fucking punches.
I get exactly. I just thought I was saying thanks, but no thanks. Apparently,
Well, then-
apparently, I was insulting somebody terribly.
Did,
Oh well.
Did those paths ever cross again?
Oh God, no,
No. Okay.
no.
Okay.
You learn who to stay away from
Well,
and who is
sometimes-
cool.
Sometimes down the line, you end up like somebody. God damn it, that person, this and that happened a long time ago, and you realize who it is, but they don't realize who you are, and then you start talking with them, and then all of a sudden you're like, you know what, fuck it, and then somebody just want, you know that motherfucker, I'm gonna get his ass.
No, I pretty much let everything go from
Yeah,
back in the
I
day. I used to be drunk a lot, and I'd mouth off to people, and whatever happened. So I changed my ways as I got older.
Are you drinking? Are you drinking and skateboarding too?
No, I'm not doing any of those things. Really.
I bet you were. You're probably down there.
I was at the time, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, I quit.
Well, that's what I mean,
I
now.
kind of quit skateboarding when I moved to San Diego because people stole my skateboards.
Dude,
Nobody wanted to touch them back
they
in
steal
Connecticut.
your skateboard?
How? Well, it's.
What do you do? Leave them out in your front?
I don't know. I don't know. People are able to steal skateboards. Believe me. Yeah, I had a nice Mike McGill board with 6 tracks, and then my Hobie board and all those things. All that stuff went.
Can we hook you up a board before you leave?
No, I'm okay, man. I gave up skating
Sure.
back then. Yeah.
Do a little street skating maybe?
I could probably do it now. I was worried back then because it's like,
Exercise, man.
because I never wore pads, never wore helmets and everything. I mean, I was not a pool skater, pipe skater, or anything like that. You know, I moved out here and realized, oh dear, these people know what the fuck they're doing. I will break my neck.
It looked a lot different than in the magazine, huh? When you're sitting there looking down into it.
Well, the parks that I skated back east were like really crude and like, you know, not that difficult. Out here, it's the fucking real deal.
Well, now
you know,
nice parks everywhere, pretty
yeah.
much. But back then, yeah.
Back then, everything was closing down. The Del Mar Skate Ranch was still going, and but yeah, everybody out here was like really good
we were
skater.
spoiled out here.
Oh yeah, everyone here is like the king of skaters compared to me, and I realized, well, nobody needs me to skate.
That's pretty much all.
Plus, I had to feed myself too, so it's like, you know, if I fell, break my wrist or whatever, can't eat. You know, no good. So it's like, well, somebody stole my skateboards. I don't think I'm in a hurry to go out and replace them and hurt myself on a skateboard anytime soon.
All right, so let's get up to speed. Well, how about out here, first music endeavors? You just like find some people, somebody find you. I mean,
yeah. Started working with, so I moved out here. I met Chris BCT outside a show. Started helping him out with the BCT thing.
Now, did you know of BCT?
Yeah, I did.
In the magazine.
Yeah, from the magazine ads, because every time you buy a Maximum Rock and Roll or a Flipside or whatever, there's big BCT ads.
Month, man,
every month.
That thing and just
yeah.
Like, oh, that's so cool.
So I was kind of familiar with that, and I knew he had Raw Power and bands like that. Even some friends of mine from Connecticut were on his label.
Yeah, there was a couple, yeah.
Yeah, and so I started talking to him. You know, I realized he was an older guy. As soon as I started talking to him, it's like we hit it off. So I started working with BCT, you know, listening to, you know, you can imagine every day that guy gets, you know, 10 or 20 demo tapes, you know, submissions in the mail. So I would, you know, listen to this and tell me if it's any good or what kind of music is it. So I listened to that, help him put together one or two of those compilation albums that he did in late '86.
Yeah.
And then in '87, I moved down to Normal Heights, and that's when I met Daryl. Saw him in the wearing a Motorhead shirt, walking around the neighborhood, and I just started talking to him. He's like, "Oh, you should come over and jam."
Was that at his old apartment there?
Yeah. But yeah, you know, I went down to the Whistle Stop, and it's like, you know, I saw Daryl was playing with his band Phobia, and I talked to him, and I said, "Oh, dude, we must live. I just moved into the neighborhood. I saw you at the laundromat there. You must live like a block away from me or something." And he, you know, we hit it off. He asked me if I played music. I go, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, let's start a band. You know, this band just broke up. You know, let's jam next week." So
look at that.
Yeah, just like that. So we started jamming. You know, so I went and met Daryl. First, he's like, "Come over to my house. We'll hang out a little bit." So did that. We hung out.
You guys having some beers?
Had some beers, smoked some bongs, and listened to a bunch of crazy music.
Was Poopy there?
Yep, she was there. Of course.
What was her real name?
Leslie. Yeah, she's still around. I do see her. Yep, she's not on social media or anything, but she's still around.
She was a nice girl.
She really was.
It was a trip going over there and hanging out with her.
Yeah. So then I think it was, you know, then it was decided, okay, get your amps and guitars, and, you know, we'll meet at Music Power in East San Diego on University.
$2.50 an hour.
Hell yeah. And we'll meet out there with a drum machine, and we'll like try going through some songs or something. So we tried that, and then he's like, "Oh, I know this drummer, Scott Sellers. I'll bring him next time." So then that's how how I met Scott Sellers next time.
Now, how was the story?
So then Scott and Daryl were just like, "Yeah, we should keep playing with these other guys. I don't know, we can get rid of them." And then I said, "Hey, what if I lose my friends here and it's just you, me, and Scott start playing?" They're like, "All right, we'll try that."
So when you guys got together that time, when he said, "Oh, I got the drummer Scott," had they already gotten material? And
no, well, Daryl already had some. Everybody has songs from their old bands. You know, it's like, well, maybe this would work. You know, my idea was just to do some because it would be the first band I played guitar in. I was kind of a rudimentary guitarist, but I just wanted to do like some old school, you know, early hardcore type stuff, like old Black Flag, old Reagan Youth, or something like that. And, you know,
though, man.
Yeah, oh, definitely. You know, then I started playing with Scott, and I realized, oh, well, Scott can Scott's a pretty good drummer, you know? He's like, oh, yeah, I played with NoFX. I'm like, oh, I've heard of them.
You know.
So that's how I met Daryl and Scott and started with Meatwagon. And then, that just, after a couple months, we had enough songs to play gigs, and we started.
You guys played a lot of shows back then.
Yeah, we played. Our first show was on Christmas '87, and our second show was the night after. Wow. So yeah, we just started working.
And where was your first show at?
First show was at the Whistle Stop, and
Whistle Stop was cool, man.
Yeah, first show was the Whistle Stop, and the second with Dave Hinge Productions.
Oh, Dave Hinge,
yeah,
man.
And the second was at the 2581 on University. Yeah. It was a little upstairs place.
Okay.
I think it was like a no alcohol club or something. I got married in 1998, and we were renting a house in North Park, and it's like, then our landlady wanted to move back in. It's like, geez, we got to go rent another house. Look how much stuff costs now. We might as well buy a house. Cheaper than rent.
What kind of work were you doing then?
Construction. Yeah, construction had gotten really good again. So yeah, doing construction, everything was really steady. And when I moved to San Diego, I didn't know anybody. I had no contacts in construction business. And I moved out here and found out that what I knew didn't matter. They built everything. Everything was built differently, different codes, different styles, different methods of construction. I had to relearn everything and rebuild my carpentry career from the ground up, really. But after, from 86 to 92 was a little spotty, but after that I kind of got hooked up, and I've really never looked for a job since. And that's a lot to be said. And construction, that's ridiculous. Most people are out of work every 3 or 4 months. You're looking for another job.
Yeah, some of my friends that do construction, they get paid pretty well, but they don't work. They only work off and on. So
yeah,
so that really good wage they're making is like, well, it's good, but you're only working like half the fucking year.
Well, yeah. So that's what I started getting into, the making good money but spotty, which was really good for me because that gave me plenty of time off, and I was playing in Meatwagon at the time. So it's just like, you're off? Fine, I got shows to do, this is great. I have no problem having time off. I'll go to the beach. I just remember, we got there in the afternoon, loaded our gear in. I think we were like waiting to do a sound check, and I look out in the alleyway and I see our roadies out there with this girl, and they're like, drinking and shooting pistols in the fucking alleyway outside the bar. I'm going, yeah,
You didn't have your piece with you?
No, but I just thought, can we save the target practice for after we get done playing? Because it's like, if they know you're out here shooting, we might not get to play. And we came all the way to San Francisco for one show. That's one thing I realized. It's like, when you get in the world of punk rock and you're going and playing shows, you don't know what's going to happen, man. Crazy shit happens. People get high and fucking crazy shit happens, Like next thing you know, there's guns shooting.
Well, give me a crazy story, man. I'll give you one. You give me a crazy story.
Playing up at the Nude Bowl. This isn't that crazy.
We're supposed to play the damn Nude Bowl.
Yeah, well, we did. We played at the Nude Bowl with Wool and some other bands.
That place is still fucking. I just saw a picture of it the other day. One of the skateboard bands.
Cool. Still going?
And shit out.
Awesome.
It's cool.
Yeah, so we went up and played there, and it was like a good show. And
they get crazy at the Nude Bowl, though.
Next thing you know, there's like, guns being fired right next to my head, because there's like, some gang band from India or something that wanted to play, and like, they didn't want them to play, and they're like, bludgeon, and they're shooting guns and yelling the name of the band. We're just like, fucking nuts, dude. Chill out, We're just here to skateboard and see some bands and take acid, and we're not here to.
Never made it to Oakland. Oakland's fucking dope.
No, we didn't go to Oakland.
Love Oakland.
No.
That's so much fun, dude.
Yeah, I don't know how. I think Daryl hooked us up with that show that we played in San Francisco, but just crazy stuff going on. And then, then finally the show is over at the Nude Bowl. And everyone's camping up there. We're like sleeping in the back of the truck and stuff like that. And then like 2:00 in the morning, a dozen sheriff cars are coming up there with the lights. Yeah, rousted us all out of there in the middle of fucking, dark 30, crazy.
Get in your cars and drive.
Yeah, drive. Yeah, drunk, tripping. Yeah, great. I just remember the drums clanking around in the back of my truck. I'm like, so we're all supposed to just like leave in the middle of the night? Yeah, so we did.
Did they like escort you out, follow you out?
So then we drove. So no, I mean they were waiting. They were obviously staying up there until everybody left. So we drove down. I think we went to Cabazon and waited for the sun to come up. Bought some gas, and we went to the gas station and there was like a woman running the gas station at 6:00 in the morning, and her young son. She's like, "Y'all in a band? Y'all look like you're in a band or something." It's like, "Yeah, we're in a band, Meatwagon." And the kid's like, "You got records and stuff?" It's like, "Yeah, we do." So it's like I went out to the truck and brought him a record, and we autographed for him. Then I'm out there pumping the gas, and somehow or other they put the record on, and it's playing over the public address system at the gas station at 6:00 in the morning.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, I was going, this is wild. This is funny.
The kid going, "Oh, fuck this.
This is great. These guys are great."
This is great.
I'm just going, this is
great.
this is so weird. It's 6:00 in the morning and they're playing my record. Yeah, but just just weird stuff happens when you're playing punk rock. You never really know exactly. Just scary random bits of violence and stuff happen.
Now what?
The worst place we played was a club called Club Tango or something.
Club Tango.
Yeah, it was, I think,
The disco?
it was in South Rolando area, kind of by the Jolar arcade over there or whatever. It was south of University over there, and somebody booked us to come in, Meatwagon, come play, and we get in there and we start playing, and they're like, "Oh no, you're way too loud." It's like, why did you book me? I mean, Meatwagon is not a super loud band anyways. We really weren't. Comparatively, not even, But they were just like, you got to turn that down. So I turned down a little bit, And then they're like, no, you need to turn it down some more. And I go, no, I'm done. I unplugged. They're like, what are you doing? I'm leaving.
Every time you do that kind of shit, man, I used to just do the opposite.
It's just no, I'm just leaving. But, this is dumb.
You spend your time to get there and play a show, and then...
Well, it's not like it took us long to get there because it's just in East San Diego. But still, you break down your gear, you pack it up, you get over there, you load the stuff in, you show up on time, you set up, you're ready to do your show, you start playing, and you're like, this isn't what we thought we wanted. It's like, well, why did you call? You called us. We didn't call you.
Yeah, man, people are calling up the Meatwagon.
Yeah. Oh, man, you'd be surprised. Here. It's that band got bookings. It's just geez, That's the little band that could, man. People laughed. It's people laughed at us when we started out, but we outlasted and outplayed. We just kept going and kept going. And, and it just kind of got better and better as we went.
What about the first releases you guys did? I know you guys were on a couple records and stuff.
Sure, we can talk about the first one. The first one, because it's near my May Day anniversary of when I quit drinking, which was May 1st, 1988. We had, we started in 87 and, by winter, early 88, we had, half a dozen, 15, 16 songs, maybe 20 songs. And we went to Nestor Studio and recorded. And, it took so long setting everything up.
One by the...
Yeah, by the trolley tracks over there. It took so long getting everything set up, I was in the bag.
And what did you have for recording then? Because when we recorded, we did a 4-track, $25 4-track.
It might have been a 4-track or an 8-track.
Yeah.
Maybe they had just gone to 8-track.
Would you put it out on cassette? Or
Yeah. So we set everything up. We recorded, 10 or 12 songs. And, when I went back the next day and listened to it, I realized, oh, man, it took so long getting all the levels set. I got fucked up.
Right?
I got fucked up
Yeah,
waiting for everything,
Yeah.
to be ready. So, but when it came time to actually do the tracking, my shit was fucked up. Yeah, totally faded. So I had to, do it over the next day, basically straight. And it's like, that's when I realized I need to stay straight if I want to do this music thing. That was it. That was it.
That made the cold turkey?
That was it, yeah.
Yeah.
That was my second time I quit. And I realized, I'm probably better off not touching, alcohol anymore.
The crowd that everybody was around back then.
Everybody drank to excess.
Kind of tough to...
Yeah. Well, the first thing I thought was, I'm not like a ridiculous overdrinker. Everybody drinks like this. So it's like, well, maybe they do, but, they're not fucking up as much as me either. So that was a big incentive to just quit fucking up. Just wanted to stop fucking up. I really just wanted to we got a thing going with this music here, with this stupid Meatwagon band. Who knows where it's going to go? Let's just keep going, All I know is today I need to get these guitar tracks recorded and then come back tomorrow. And do the same.
You guys just pretty much put that out.
Put that out, and we had a booklet. It was just a cassette that we had custom printed up, and I think we had it in a clear plastic bag with a booklet and some stickers. Pretty basic, Took them into local record stores and sold every one of them we could make. People loved that, ate it up.
Yeah, back in the day, you could get rid of cassettes and stuff, man. Put them somewhere.
Yeah.
You'd always be selling them.
And you know how it is? It's like when people see a band for the first time, it's like that's what kind of imprints on them. So those are the songs that everybody knows is your first batch of songs.
Yeah.
And, you can write 3 other albums and people are still asking for the third song you ever wrote.
Play that one song.
I like that one song you do. We did the initial,
cassette,
the cassette. That did pretty good. We got better and better gigs. Next thing you know, Mystic Records wants to sign us, and so we went and recorded another album's worth of stuff and did a 7-inch, I think 7 songs on, it was a Super 7 series. I think it was 7 songs on a 7-inch with Mystic.
It was wasn't it upstairs?
I don't know. I didn't record there. We recorded in El Cajon and just, just gave them a tape after that. So, next thing I knew, we're being signed to Mystic. And for me, this is just the dream come true because I came from Mystic, Connecticut, and I knew about Mystic Records. I moved out here. Next thing you know, within a space of a couple of years, I'm on Mystic Records. And I'm just going you got to be kidding me, man. I quit drinking and good things started happening. All of a sudden, the breaks start going my way.
So no opportunity to do another record with him, or
with Mystic?
Yeah, didn't somebody else? Didn't put another? You guys did another record after that, though, too.
Yeah, we did another one.
The one with Todd, or?
No, we did another one. We did another. We put out our own 45 after that. We did another one. We had recorded.
You guys put out 3, 4 albums, 45s.
2 45s, I think. We did the first cassette, then we did the Mystic, then we put out our own 45 a couple years after that.
Is that with Todd?
That was with Scott. We had recorded, this guy signed us to Arc Records and took us to see Steve Voss Studios, the nicest studio in town, and recorded it in the middle of the night. I think we did, I think we recorded an album's worth of stuff and got, 4 or 5 songs that were worth it. And we put that on our own self-released Mistake record. That's the Ask Attendant for Key. And then that was the last that we did with Scott Sellers.
Okay.
And then after that, Todd came in with Scott Nelson on second guitar, and
you guys do a record with...
we did a cassette album.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we recorded an album for Red Eye. Huh. And that was fun. That was new and different, After, I want to say 5 years with Scott Sellers, time to mix it up, get somebody new in the band. It's just it's
so
fresh blood.
And girl or something, right?
Yeah, he blew us up. Basically, he blew us off to go chase this girl up in Orange County. Newport Beach or something. Typical, it's I'm going camping this weekend, and then you see him at band practice the next week. He's like, oh, I just met the love of my life, I can't be separated from her. I have to go move up and live with her. I'm like, of course, if it's not this girl, it's that girl, right? So he moved, and it's just like, yeah, we better look for somebody else. And then everybody recommended Todd. You better try Todd. We actually we auditioned a few people, and then somebody said, you got to try Todd, who I'd never met at that point. And then, because I think he'd been up in L.A. And, he started playing. I'm like, oh, this guy's in. He's good.
Yeah, because he was like, when I was working at the Spirit Club, that's about the same time I met Todd. Dave brought him over to the garage we had over there, the little studio. Yeah, he was living up there in, whatever the name was.
Chatsworth or someplace like that, yeah. Yeah, so he came highly recommended, and we're just like, sure, Started playing. I'm like, this guy's great.
He's a damn good drummer.
Yeah, and then he says, oh, well, I'd never really tried playing drums before. I'm like, what? It's like, yeah, I usually play guitar. I'm like, go ahead, hand him my guitar. Let me see. Yeah, he's shredding. I'm going, oh, my God. Phenomenal. But yeah, he worked out really good, on drums. And we played L.A. and Palm Springs and Yuma, and we played with Todd.
You guys got out and about then.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
The most traveling.
Yeah, Todd wanted to go play, because he had
good.
He had time because he was working, I think, part-time in the crane business.
Yeah, well, he did the reserves.
And then he was in the reserves, and then he was just doing the reserves, so he had lots of time off. He wanted to go tour and stuff because he had time, and we were all trying to feed ourselves, so we couldn't get away. That's one thing that always, we were always firmly ensconced into middle age, and most of us were tied to our jobs so that we could have places to live and food to eat.
So then Todd just, was he the one that bailed out?
Well, he would, he wasn't the greatest on communication,
Oh, I remember you telling me one day.
Yeah, he took off.
Oh, wait, where are you?
Yeah, exactly. But it was going, playing with him was going really well, is that we were getting shows, and, the profile of the band was going up. Yeah. The album was, got really good reviews. And, he would disappear, though, He took off with Ranger. Oh, he went to Death Valley for a couple. Yeah. Ranger. Oh, my God.
Had a good time, though.
Yeah. So then we had to move on. Then we had to say, sorry, Todd. It's just. So then he was costing us, because at that point, it's like we were missing gigs, good gigs, because, he wasn't around.
Yeah, that's kind of fucks you up.
It does, yeah. Once you go through all the trouble to get those gigs, you have to show up.
When you get the good ones like that.
Yeah, you got to show up and play.
Show up, then you just.
Yeah, because if you don't show up to play, they stop calling you.
Kind of goes.
Yeah, you got to show up.
So was there another drummer after Todd?
Yeah, we had another drummer after Todd. We got this guy Keith, who was we went through our audition process again. But, every time you put out another record, or you've been playing for another year and a half or 2 years, people see your name in the paper all the time, and they see interviews, and they see you on TV, and they see your record in the stores. So it's this time people are showing up to audition, So we went through about, a dozen, 15 guys.
Now how do they come in there, and most of them is right off the bat, yay or nay?
There was a few people that were definitely I don't know what you were thinking, but it's sorry, thanks for coming. This isn't going to work. Some people are just yeah, this might work. And, then we tried this guy who really didn't know anything about punk rock. He liked thrash metal and stuff like that, Metallica, but he could play really good. So we just thought, we're playing kind of extreme hardcore thrash punk. Let's see if we can work with this guy, and we did. It worked with him, and we wrote up, and got signed to another record label, Immune, with Jeff Forrest, Double Time Studios, and recorded an album there. And but the gigs started going downhill.
Did that come out
at that
on
point.
Or did
No, that never came out. It was never released.
Still in
in the archives. Yeah, I have. You
ever
know,
think about
we finished it too. We finished
you
that
got the
in.
masters for it and everything? Or?
Yeah, I think Daryl might have the masters for that
You gotta hit Daryl.
because that was all done on two. You know, that was all done on the 2-inch tape, and that was an
Daryl,
expensive production.
Maybe, putting that out.
Yeah, I mean, everybody forgot about that. This was like, you know, because we worked hard at this. We would practice 2, sometimes 3 nights a week. We had all like lost our girlfriends at this point. So it's like we had the band going on and it was good and some good weed. So we came up with a whole bunch of new songs and we were playing really well. But like at this point, our star was diminishing. The shows weren't quite as good. And we had we recorded the album and did like a disaster show somewhere, and our drummer quit, you know, and we were just so frustrated at that point, you know.
He just said,
It's like fuck this shit, yeah, basically.
Was it a train wreck or just like?
I mean,
people didn't show up or the club or?
It was just like it was like a shitty bar show, you know. It wasn't a good show. It was like a shit show.
Yeah, well,
and it didn't go well, and he's just like, fuck this, I'm out of here, you know? And it's just like, but we just recorded an album, you know?
The album never got put out.
Never got put out.
Yeah,
and, you know, and the label owners, like, just get another drummer and we'll re-record the whole thing. We're thinking, it just took us, like, 2 years to do that. You know, to come up with this stuff. And it was like, and it was super L weirdo, art damage Meatwagon, million miles an hour, loads of changes, tempo changes, just weird counts on everything, just fucking bizarre music.
Long haul, huh? Go back
yeah.
and do all that.
So Daryl said, fuck it, I'm done. And
Daryl was pissed. I can just see Daryl.
He was pissed. Yeah, he was pissed. We
were
were all kind of pissed.
Both of you guys put a lot of time and a lot of effort into that.
Yeah, and at this point, it's just like, what are we going to go? Now it's like every 18 months we're mowing through another drummer. It's like, this is just ridiculous. It's like,
So that was it.
That was
the final.
That was it.
Now,
yeah.
Huh?
That was like Christmas '94, January '95.
That long ago?
Yeah. Yeah, so at that point, it's just like, what the hell?
It's been 30 motherfucking years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So at that point, I got a job offer to go work in Japan, so I went and did that. And Daryl started another band.
Playing Japan, man.
Huh?
You guys could have been playing Japan.
We should have been, And I went over there, and it's like, I'm meeting punks and bands. I'm seeing bands and like going to record stores and figuring out some shit in Osaka, going, fuck, this is awesome. And I came back and, and realized it's like, now I'm back in San Diego. I guess I better come up with something new. I come back and then here's the thing. It's like
the surf band came up.
No, this is way before the surf band. I come back from Japan and Daryl calls me on the phone. He's like, hey, we have to do one more Meatwagon show. I'm like, why? He's like, well, the Spirit is closing down finally, and they want Meatwagon to play. I go, but we don't have a band. He's like, oh, we'll have Todd and Dirtbag Dave. I'm like, yeah, sign me up. We'll do this. No problem. It's like, because they just wanted us to go up there and do like 4 or 5 songs. And, as a part of like, all the bands that played at the Spirit all the time, it was a day-long thing. And they brought us up there, So, yeah, we learned, we went to JP's place and practiced a few times with Dave and Todd and learned, I don't know, a few songs. Learned like 4 or 5 songs. So like the last Meatwagon gig was like, a lineup that had never existed before.
So that was like, was there a good turnout at that?
Oh, it was packed. Yeah. And we went down a storm, and it was like, all the people that would go see Buddy Blue Band and Tomcat Courtney and, all the bands that would play there, Comanche Moon or whatever. All these people were there, and we're getting up to go on stage going, they're going to fucking hate us, man. Oh, we went over a storm. It was wonderful.
They dug it, man.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Well, it was Meatwagon with Todd and Dirtbag Dave on second guitar, together again for the very first time, and it was great.
Now, how long was that?
I had an absolute blast. That was summer. That was summer '95, and that was after that. Daryl went back to his other band. I started another band. So we had competing bands going for a while there.
Because after that happened, I lived off of.
I don't know. That was like
Jerry lived right by me in Maryland.
That was still like maybe the end of Chronic Thrill days for you.
Yeah.
Because we were playing with Chronic Thrill at like the very end of
I found a bunch
Meatwagon.
of tapes. I wouldn't doubt if there's some Meatwagon on. I found like a bunch of Chronic Thrill at Spirit Club. Just like, what?
Maybe, somebody who was like
5 people there on a fucking weeknight or something,
That's kind of when I'm like, oh, it's that Vinnie guy again, It's like Vinnie Fubar and the Fubar 5 or Vinnie Fono band, and it's like, then it's Chronic Thrill. I'm like, fuck, I keep seeing this guy everywhere. Everywhere I go, he's got another band. The fuck, who is this guy? And it's just because you're one of them guys that I always saw at shows. Every show I went to, I'd see you different places over the years, and it's like, finally ended up saying hello.
So now we have to get to the surf band, and then we'll get to Strict 999.
Okay, so then late '95, I started the Big Black Boots band, and we were like Motorhead, Ramones type stuff. Wrote up a whole set of originals, and some couple cover songs, hot rod cover songs, and played with an old friend from Connecticut. He had the SVTs going, and that's when I started. Couple Marshall amps on stage and going for it, SVTs and playing.
The Wall of Sound.
Yeah, it was awesome. And did that for about a year and a half. And Daryl had a couple bands going, the Christian Rock Problem and
Christian Rock
Problem.
Oh.
They were not a Christian rock band.
No,
they confused the hell out of people.
He surprised me with things before, but I was just like, nah.
Yeah, he confused the hell out of people with stuff. He's always art damaged kind of psychotronics. There's always something
like me.
Oh yeah,
we're all oddballs, and that's a good thing as far as I'm concerned, man.
The thing to remember about Daryl is that it's like there's always this art damage thing going on with anything he does. It might sound like the straightest punk stuff, but there's like some sort of really weird lyrical stance to it, or he's an oddball.
He is in depth into the whole everything of it,
Well, his idea of great punk rock would have been Black Randy and the Metro Squad, whereas mine would have been, I don't know, early Raw Power or Minor Threat or something, He liked, Black Randy. He liked all the Danger House stuff. That's kind of like, he liked weird stuff, odd stuff, disturbing things.
Well, he was doing a bunch of shit on his own, too.
Yeah.
Right? Recording shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He always had side bands and noise projects. And
that's cool.
So, after a while, after a couple years, late 80s, late 90s, Daryl came over and started playing with me in my band. And then I think we got Scott Nelson back in the band.
Squeak the word, Meatwagon, let's do it again.
Well, yeah, we did. Then we got then Scott Nelson kind of like fell back into our gravity, and he was playing with us. It's like this is pretty much Meatwagon, so it's like we just called it Meatwagon. No, it was Correctional Cocktail, but it was Meatwagon. Correctional Cocktail. Yeah, and we had a whole set of stuff. We played, for maybe a year.
Did you guys have your own signature drink?
No. Yes.
I can see them.
They'd be in the cup and they'd throw it at you.
Mixing their little,
And if you understand the term correctional cocktail, you know how disturbing it is.
Bloody and stuff all,
yeah.
Making a little fucking drink over there.
So we did that, and then something happened. We lost our drummer, and Scott Nelson went off to be, a sword swallower, basically a professional sword swallower. Meanwhile, the two Scots that had been in Meatwagon were like TV stars now, shooting nails through their hands and swallowing swords and all this shit. We're going, what the hell? We're the guys that write all this.
Remember Lizard?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. She was on that roller derby thing or whatever. Like
oh, yeah.
Figure 8 thing.
She was really, she was kind of an influential figure,
She was.
Far beyond, when I met her, it's just like, this is Liz Hard. But they'd say, oh, yeah, everybody knew Liz Hard, man. I mean, like across the country, she was pretty well known.
Yeah. What was she doing nowadays?
I don't know.
It's true, man.
I just remember the green. I'm just like, what's with the green? Always with the green. It's like, oh, well, that's Lizard. I'm like, it figures.
That bright fucking fluorescent green.
Yeah. So then, you know, so then somehow or other we lost, you know, late 90s, we lost our drum, you know, Scott Nelson went off to go swallow swords and eat fire and TV stardom. And we got the rhythm section from Social Spit. We got Dave Nestor on bass and Javier as our drummer. Yeah. So Daryl and I were both playing guitar and singing out in front of that. And it was just like, you know, incredible.
I've never seen that line.
Oh, so good, man. We were loud as hell. Oh, God, it was so much fun. And it was like, you know, Meatwagon, you know, Mark 6 at that point. You know, I think we did call ourselves Meatwagon, actually, you know. And we were playing with like metal bands and stuff. And it was like it was going over. We were playing really well. We were pretty happy with it. Then Javier flamed out or, you know, washed out or something, you know, well, he's having kids and, you know, he had to go take care of all that. So, yeah. So then Dave, then we had a drum off. It just so happened that I had a drum set. Daryl had a drum set and Nestor had a drum set. And it's like, we had a drum off because it's like, well, now we have to hire another drummer. And it's like, I don't want to hire another drummer. You know, it's like one of us, Daryl's like, I want to play the drums. It's like, dude, yeah, you're not a good drummer, man. You know, but okay, just for the sake of fairness, we'll have a drum off, you know? So we set up a drum kit and all of us started playing and it's like, Dave was the best. You know, no, Dave Nestor.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. And he was actually not bad at all on drums. And so we started playing with him on drums, and he got really good, actually. And I swear we did more shows probably with Dave than anybody else.
I've seen that lineup.
Oh, yeah. That was from basically 1999 to 2008 or 9 or something. Wow. He had almost 10 years in the drum seat with us, and we played a lot of shows with him. Yeah, it was.
That you had in your lineup, right?
Yeah, we had, you know, we took a year or two off. Because Daryl was having some health issues with his back. He had to have some surgeries and, you know.
Still a fucking telephone operator?
Yes, he might have been right at the very end of that. You know, he had just, you know, he had a bad back and he needed some back surgeries and stuff. So he got him and, you know, he couldn't play, to be honest with you. So, you know, so it's just like, you know, if everybody's ever told you, I can't play for, you know, 6 to 8 months, you know.
So when are we going to go surfing?
When
are we going surfing?
Surfing? I don't surf, man. Oh, when do I play surf music? That comes at the end of... so, you know, we're playing with Nestor, and Dave was just getting more and more psychotic as the years went on, and it's just like, could have had to do with some drugs or something. But yeah, you never knew which Dave you were going to get. So then we started recycling drummers again. Then Daryl says, hey, I ran into Todd, you know, he says he wants to play. I'm like, okay, let's do that, you know. So now we're recycling our drummers. Now it's like, you know, we've been in Meatwagon for 20 years now, and we're recycling our old drummers again. So we did, you know, played with Todd for maybe 9 months or a year or so, but he was, you know, in the bag the whole time. He almost missed some shows or did show up fucked up, but, you know, I kind of didn't care as long as he could play, but, you know, he shows up and does great for the first half of the set, and then he's just like, you know, wasted after that. You know, then we went back to Keith again, and, you know, the same thing happened. You know, you know, if you do the same things with the same people, you can expect the exact same result, and it did, just happened quicker, you know. So once that blew up, yeah, that's when I started playing surf.
No,
and that was when Meatwagon was done.
Did
2010.
Daryl and you ever go get your sacred drum machine in between any of those times?
No, but I thought, you know, maybe we should just like program a drum machine. Seriously, it doesn't talk back. It always shows up. It's never too fucked up to play. We could just get up on stage and play with a drum machine. Seriously, we could do it.
FK?
Yeah.
I did their Sound of the Spirit, and they had a fucking drum machine, and the thing ran through this SBT, and it's so fucking loud.
Wow.
It was
Oh,
crazy,
obnoxious.
but, yeah.
Well, I thought, at that point, it's like drum machines were fully programmable, and I thought that might be a thing for us to do, or just say the hell with Meatwagon. At the end, I was just so done with it. I wanted to do something else, and I had always
Last show was with Todd?
No, our last show was with Keith.
Okay.
And then, we ended up in basically thought it was going to be a whole bar full of people fighting me and Keith, basically. And I said, yeah, I guess we're done with Meatwagon and all these people. And after that, it's Keith was like, well, do you think Daryl's going to come back and play? I'm like, no, we're done, man. That band is broke up. That's it, man.
He left the fucking Elvis has left the building.
Yeah. It's we're done there. It's let's play some surf music. It's I'll show up my Fender Twin and a Stratocaster, and we'll play some surf. So then I did that for about 10 years, really.
Wow.
Yeah, got way into it, man. There's some really good guitars.
You guys make your own shit, or do you do little copies?
All, pretty much reworkings of Dick Dale and other stuff, you know. Take other stuff that Dick Dale didn't do, but play it Dick Dale style.
Like a 3-piece?
Yeah.
Vocals too?
Nope.
No vocals.
I would sing, but no words. Just lots of oohs and ahs and chants and hays and stuff like that. Yeah. No, not like that. More like ooh, singing in the background and stuff. But the lead guitar is basically
you guys put on any material?
No, we never did. Never felt like redoing it. So I'll probably be doing some more of that soon.
It was beach, go down to the beach and play, or?
Oh no, we would go down and play at Winston's, and we played some shows. Street fairs, chili cook-offs, OC Fair, stuff like that. Yeah. But all during this time, I was going to see surf bands play locally. And
who's the big kahuna of the surf bands?
Who? Right now?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. I don't know. I had my favorite bands. Right now, I don't know. The Surf Coasters, I guess, are coming back. They're from Japan.
Surf Coasters?
Surf Coasters. They're amazing. Every year up in Orange County, there's this guy, Jeff, the big tiki dude, that puts on the International Surf Music Fest. And he gets the best bands from all over the world. That's probably it. And they fly in and play. And, there's guys around Southern California that have all the old amps, the blonde Showman amps with the tone ring cabinets and stuff. And they stack up a bunch of those things. So you got the best period equipment, and you get the best guitarists from around the world, and their bands come in and play, and it's usually phenomenal. Cool. Yeah, I saw John and the Night Riders play, and bands from Italy and Spain and Japan and South America, all the American bands.
That's a trip on.
Oh my God. And these guys are so good.
The surf style like that, that's United States or whatever.
It was all really originated in Orange County.
Originated out on the beach at
Balboa. Really, that's kind of where Dick Dale got his start.
Yeah.
He got you went to Fender and say, I need a bigger amp, and a piggyback amp. How can I get this sound but big and loud? Because I got an auditorium with 4,000 kids in here, in Newport Beach or Balboa there. And, that's pretty much when the loudness wars started. They're like, okay, I can make you that. And,
So we're going to see you bring out the wooden surfboard, huh?
Yeah.
You have to use some more surf tunes?
Yeah, I'd absolutely love to play some more of that. No, I have my people. We had lost our rehearsal place. But we have another place to practice now. And then, we're all getting older. People break bones. So we've been out of commission because my drummer had a broken leg. But he should be about ready to play again.
Double dipping?
Yeah, absolutely. It was really weird when I, put down the Les Pauls and the Marshall amps. Oh, yeah.
twang machine.
Strats twang machine.
That, right?
Yeah, 2 Strats, and I have a Jazzmaster and a Jaguar, and some old Fender amps and stuff.
What do you
Outverb
Super
Reborn.
Reverb or whatever that.
Oh yeah, Outverb Reborn. No, outboard tanks. With the springs and everything. It's like got like a little Champ amp that drives a spring pan, and then you plug that in. Then you plug that into your amp. You can kick it, and it goes.
Yeah, I had an old I think it was a Super Reverb Fender. It had the purple or whatever lights. It was kind of an old one. Guy gave it to me, and somebody ripped it off out of the garage and fucking IB.
But it's just very strange when when you stop playing with distortion and you start playing electric guitar with no distortion.
Well,
it's like, God, I feel naked.
Yeah, how good of a player you are, though.
Yeah, you hear absolutely everything.
Distortion in the chorus and all that crap, it covers up all your mistakes.
Yeah. So, you hear absolutely everything. So it was really good incentive to, I realized how much I had to learn. I had to go back and learn a bunch of things, different chord shapes. I'm just like, I'm trying to listen to these old songs and going, how do they play this stuff? I'm going, well, they weren't playing, chunky bar chords here. They were playing like, other versions of chords.
You still use your hands to do all that crazy crap?
Absolutely. I learned so much new stuff. It's like you have to learn 4 other voicings for chords because they weren't using, those modern rock voicings. Right. They were using like older voicings for chords. So I learned, I can play 8 different D chords at the moment, There's a lot of stuff you can do with that shit. So, but, I figured it out. I really had a blast doing that for 10 years. Then personal conflict. My friend Joel had, reformed Personal Conflict, and I lent him some amps, or like roadied for him, and, went to the shows and helped him do that. Then their singer quit. Cliff didn't want to sing anymore, and he asked me if I would sing. So I did that for a couple years. I think we did 3.
Cliff.
Yeah, Cliff Cunningham.
He was the singer?
Yeah, he was singing. This is like 2020? 2019?
That's a trip, man.
So then I took over as singer for Personal Conflict. And I think we did, maybe a dozen shows over 3 years. And, but at rehearsal,
Drummer problems.
No, not a, well, we did have a drummer in that, our drummer for Personal Conflict passed away. Yeah. Dan Mellos, R.I.P.
Yeah.
He was in the front too. He passed away, but, at rehearsal, one time I'm just like, hey, can I mess with your guitar here, Joel? And, let me adjust the sound on that thing, So I started doing that, and I started playing with, heavy distortion. And it's like, oh, God, I miss doing this. So then Dennis asked, and then I was, seeing a show, and Dennis asked me if I would try playing guitar with Strict 999 or play with him, And I said, yeah, sure. I'll give it a shot. I kind of get the bug again. I'd love to do it.
It's been like a year or so now?
Oh, no. Now it's been 4 years.
Damn, man. Where the hell was all this time?
I know. Where does it go? This was like right at the very end of COVID. The very end of COVID.
What the fuck time that was.
Yeah, it was really weird. And it's like, I was coming out of it. And I'm just like, I need something to do, And it's like being a punk band again. I'm like, yeah, I should do that,
Well, you guys played shows like all thrift stores, right? You played the thrift store.
Yeah, we did one. Yeah, in Ocean.
I kept seeing all these places you guys were playing. I'm like, God damn it, motherfuckers. That's good for them.
Yeah,
man.
well, Dennis had Strict 999 going with different people, and that fell through. And I went to a show, and I thought he'd be playing. I'm like, "Where's your band, dude?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm not playing with them anymore." Kind of broke my heart, He's like, "I'm looking for new people now."
Got to start over again.
Yep,
huh?
Start over again. It's like, yeah, you know how that goes. I think the last time we had talked a whole lot about starting over again, and every 18 months needing a new band situation because people can't stay with the fucking plot.
Worse, man.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Especially if you like me this last time, man, and I just put too much let it be in here. Fucking and people go, dude, good shit's gonna happen, and good shit started to fucking happen. It's like, wow. So.
Yeah, it's like, once you stop the self-sabotage, you'd be amazing amazed how much stuff goes
Yeah.
goes when things go right. You're just like, well, now
you know
what?
It's just,
You know?
it has something to do with the punk rock gods just looking
Yeah.
over us and okay, well, you know what? We'll give them a break this time. Give them a bone or something.
Yeah.
You know?
So anyways, Dennis, asked me, it's like, hey, you should come and try to play guitar with me. And it's like, I kind of said, yeah, for a couple months, before I really said, oh, geez, I should really do this. I've been saying yes. Now it's time to get off my ass and fucking do this, if I can do it, or let's see if I can do it. Because I hadn't been playing.
Yeah, but
I really hadn't been.
It came quick.
Oh yeah, and it's like give me a tape or a CD to listen to, and it's like I listen to some of the songs. I'm like, oh, okay, that one goes there, and I'm like, all right, this is over here, and this goes there, and that's that part there. I'm like, okay, it just started to come back really quick.
So the song,
and we tried a few bass players and a drummer, and that didn't work out. Then we ended up with the lineup that we have now. We tried a drummer, and it's like, oh, this guy plays pretty well. Our drummer Rob.
So when
I said, there's no problem. I can play with this guy. And then he's like, yeah, I know a guy that plays bass.
When you first got with them and you're playing and you're learning their songs and their tunes that they already had, did your style catch on to that kind of more, or did your style progress your guys' sound more into a different direction?
Well, at first you learn exactly the way it was, you learn like it is on the tape or something like that. And then pretty quickly I realized I'm just going to throw my, my own influences into here,
Like, I know with the vocals with me.
It's just like there's a little space here. I'll throw in a little.
Stuff is kind of weird, man. Because you want
to
do
weird.
them well, but they're different,
Yeah. Well, the thing to remember is just catch the essence of it to make sure you're kind of hitting all the high spots, but then you got to be yourself.
You put your own little spin on it, your own little flavors.
It was actually harder to do that singing somebody else's stuff than it is to do on guitar. Guitar, guitar it's not as hard for me.
Well, I mean, look at you. I mean, you're from Connecticut, man, or whatever, Rhode Island, man. You're worldly.
I don't know about that,
Worldly, man.
I lived, for me, it was just like, I still feel like I'm like the guy from a small town that knows nothing. And I moved to a big city like San Diego, everyone's like, why didn't you move to LA? Why'd you move to San Diego? It's like, because San Diego's still a good sized city. There's like, plenty of punk rock going on, and LA's just right there if you want to go,
I don't know, man. LA's kind of fucked up, man.
It is. But, I go there all the time. I love it.
You still haven't ended up staying there, have you?
Oh, no, I don't want to live there, but I like to go there, and I like the people there, and I like to play there.
Yeah. Okay.
But, if someone said, you have to live in L.A. now, I'd be, okay. It'd be all right.
So, in the horizon, getting the big picture, I'm looking at it all. Got surf music in the pipe. We're gonna do a little surf music probably down the line.
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, when we played with the surf band, people really did seem to like it. So apparently I was doing it right. I believe big Fender amps, outboard tanks, offset guitars, no distortion, distortion boxes.
Possibility when you get that going, maybe I can get you guys to come over here and I can record you guys.
Yeah.
And I'd really like to get a shot at it.
Sure. I really did try to put my own stamp on stuff because it's like, for me, surf music is kind of like, there is a catalog of standard songs. And if you listen to enough surf music, you realize, oh, this band and that band, and it's like, a dozen bands all play some of the same material. It's like, what's going on? But any jazz singer or a folk singer or something like that, or blues, you go see them play and like, oh, they're all doing the same stuff, or they're giving you their version of this, so it's okay to have standard materials that you can put your own spin on and, do it your style, you rearrange it or whatever, but it's not cheating or copying somebody's song. It's you're interpreting the material in your own fashion, so that's what I tried to think up different arrangements and put my own spin on that old surf material. And some of it's really aggressive, you're
really
like
to see that, man.
Some of it's really aggressive, and you'd be like, geez, it's like you could really tell that I played in a punk rock band because, One thing it does, one thing that I do love about surf music is it's got that, it's got that that treble thing, or there's just a lot of youth energy in it, which is very similar to punk rock.
What about that wipeout shit, man? That drum
Oh, that stuff's great.
There's some element of drumming in that surf music.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And a lot of that, came right from big band stuff like Gene Krupa and stuff like that through Sandy Nelson. You know who Sandy Nelson is? Yeah. Sandy Nelson was a drummer that led his own instrumental rock band. And, Cozy Cole, and, there's just a history of big band drumming, and it carries right through the early surf music. And, drum solos and stuff like that. Why does rock music have drum solos? It comes from the jazz and surf, carried through the surf into, electric blues. That's why you see Ginger Baker and John Bonham playing drum solos. It's like they got to get it from somewhere. It comes from the jazz tradition. And, we tried to bring some of that through into my surf band. And because, I made my drummer listen to Sandy Nelson. And, this is like, there's a lot for the drummer to do here, playing Caravan or something like that, It's just there's a bunch of opportunity to stretch out.
So we see that going on. So let's talk a little bit about Strict 99. I know you guys got some stuff going on. If there was one thing that you could ask for or wish for, or something that you would really want to do with this band, is there anything that you'd really like to do? Is there something that all you guys have talked about that you'd all like to do? Or
what I'd really love to do is go tour, because now it's never, God, in my old age, now I have the time to go do it, and I don't have to beat myself up to death trying to make a living.
What about the other guys? Are they?
I would say, three out of four of us can go do it, and one of us is really committed to college, and we all have families. We all have mortgages. Right. We all have jobs, or I don't have a job.
Is the one in college, is that the drummer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's
See,
he can.
There you go. There you go. You and the drum.
I can't really blame him for wanting to. He wants to. For him, college equals money. He looks at me and goes, "This guy's retired. I want to retire." How do you do that? How do you do that? You make money and you save it.
Have a hard. It's gonna be a rough.
Well, he's a pretty smart guy.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Pretty certain he's going to get there. We don't.
In the next 10, 20 years, is just going.
You don't know what's going to happen.
No, you don't. But it's.
Here's the thing. It's like, for the longest time, I thought the world was going to blow up. Why bother making plans? Everything could go tomorrow. But you got to do something while you're here.
So touring, you guys can go up and do the West Coast tour.
If you can get away for a week, that's pretty hard to do.
Is that drum machine still available?
Yeah. Well, we do have, we kind of have a spare drummer, and I think we're going to start working him back into the fold. Great guy named Rob Miller in Oceanside. He was kind of our road drummer for the last few years. We had some shows to do in Arizona. He'd get in and practice with us, learn the set, and we go over there and play a few shows with him. And it's, no letdown in quality. He's a great drummer, great guy. But, he's busy also. He's already got you know how it is. It's like any drummer that's any good already has a band or two.
A lot of well, I feel quite a few bands that they have that little artillery extra person on the side that they need to. They can.
Well, I'm very lucky to have somebody else that volunteered to play with us and is no slouch.
And can do it.
Yeah, exactly. So
it really sucks when you have to go backwards. Sometimes you have to, but.
At this point, we know enough people, other bands who play internationally. They get booked gigs. They go play.
Yeah.
They go play in England. They go play in Europe. They go play in Australia. They tour Japan. It's like, I want to do that stuff,
Oh, yeah,
If I can't even make it that far, can we go play in, Tijuana? Can we go play in, Mexico City? Mexico City.
Mexico City.
Mexico City.
Punk rock thing
it's not that far, and it's like the biggest city in the Western Hemisphere. Yeah. Let's go there and play.
Yeah.
Come on.
All right.
So that's kind of my I've just been getting back into it. First start playing shows in San Diego, then across Southern California, then the neighboring states, and now it's like I'm ready to go play places.
You guys get that record all together, get that new release out.
Yeah, we have 2 albums out now, and we're working on our third.
That's
2 albums now, and get 3 albums out, then you're going, then you got something, then you got something
man.
you can demonstrate to people. Well, we work at it, it's good. And every show,
happen,
well, you get out, this my advice to any bands in San Diego: go play somewhere else.
Yeah.
Go book your band somewhere else and go play there, and wow the people there, make friends, then go back. Can I say?
It's always good to get out of San Diego.
It really is, because you can play the same dozen places around here.
Once a month is my motto, if that.
If that,
because if not, you're gonna spread yourself too thin.
Exactly. Nobody's gonna want to come see you.
So many times. You want to just like smack the crap out of them, and then they go, "God, that band was really good," and then.
Yeah. But next if you go play again at the same club 2 weeks later, you're gonna get 7/8 of the reaction, and then you go do it 2 weeks after that, and then you have half the reaction, and people are like, okay, what else you got? What do you got that's new?
You gotta tease them a little.
That's why you need new songs.
Yeah.
And you need to go away for a while. Go play somewhere else.
Very progressive.
Meatwagon was always good for that, because we played in San Diego, and it's like, let's go play somewhere else.
Yeah.
And we'd go play other places, and people are like, hey, this is great.
I think Japan would be.
Oh, me too.
We almost got there, and man, Japan and like fucking Italy would be fucking cool, I think.
Yeah.
Finland.
I mean, the trick, of course, is you got to know somebody. You got to have a booking agent or something like that, because you don't, necessarily personally know all the people over there, or how to get around, or any of the protocol, or maybe you don't know the language.
You have like a local or somebody.
This is all doable. It's all doable now.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I see it happening.
Oh yeah, there's booking agents you can call right now and book yourself a European tour. Plus Dennis's wife is from Germany, and he knows Germans, and he's been over there a lot of time and knows bands, and we could go over there and play. We could go over there and probably play with Shiza Vanelli. No problem. I have no problem, conceptually, we could easily do a week tour over there if we could just get away. I mean, not to say that we'd make money at it, but,
So,
we could do it.
Who gets the big thank you from you to get you where you are? Is it your parents, your family, or maybe an influence that got you kind of where you're at, or somebody that you really
a stranger.
Huh?
A stranger.
Yeah.
This is a weird story.
Okay.
But it's strange. Sometimes strangers out of the blue will give you a piece of advice. And I was in a bar, moping around in Connecticut, probably 1993, 1994. And, the bar was really full. It was like my local after work drink bar. And some guy was at a table. I said, can I share the table? He's like, sure, sit down, talk to him. He was like a master plumber. And like, at some point, I think he realized, it's like, dude, he told me, you need to get out of Connecticut. You need to go see some stuff. You should go out to Las Vegas and go.
A little bit older guy?
Yeah, he was a little older guy, and he had some money. And he's like, I go all over the place. And he's like, enjoy it while you can. He's like, don't judge everything by what you see in your little small town. You should really get out and see some things before you, make any decisions, value decisions. And I realized, this guy's probably right. It's like, I don't have enough knowledge of what goes on in this world. I haven't been around. I really haven't. I've lived in small town New England, this small town and that small town. I need to get out and go see more things.
Well, damn,
I'm not done yet. It's just like, don't decide to settle down here until you
go.
Then, huh? Oh yeah. It's just like, maybe because it came from a stranger. I don't know.
It's weird. Sometimes people that are really close to you, they can give you advice, and for some reason, you just don't want to.
Yeah, it's too close.
You don't listen to
it's
them
too close. You know, like this person has an ulterior motive.
Tells you something, man, it's good advice.
Well, because you realize they have no ulterior motive, really. You know, they don't care. They're just calling it like they see it. Right. So yeah, it's just a very strange thing.
Well, there you go. There you have it. I think we could wrap it up on that.
All right. This is interesting talk number 2.
What do we got? You got your record coming out. You got another record. It'll be your third record, the one that you're working on.
Yeah, we're about 6 songs in now, so we're going to need another 6. We're about halfway there.
All right.
But summer's usually when we, don't book as hard and we hole up and work on material. Well,
I'm looking forward to seeing you guys play again, hearing that record, and that opera on the surf music.
I got to get that back going again. But
real opera, man, that'd be really fucking cool.
Okay, yeah, we'd love to record something. I'm sure those guys would love to record something, and we can come up with something different sounding enough that I wouldn't be embarrassed to play it.
I think a surf band would fit in here really cool, man. What, 3-piece, 4-piece?
It's a 3-piece, yeah. Okay. But it's thunder. We go play places and people are like, I wasn't really expecting that. I don't know what they were thinking. Maybe they were thinking it's going to be nice. It's not nice. It's
50-foot waves or whatever.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, it's like that. Right. Because my experience with surf music was playing I was playing a Meatwagon around here for a couple of years. Finally had a couple $dollars in my pocket, and I kept seeing, Dick Dale is playing up at the Belly Up. Legendary surf guitar, king of the surf guitar, Dick Dale melts picks. He plays so intensely he melts picks, and I thought, I need to go see that. I want to go see that. I said, that sounds crazy. It's like I'm vaguely familiar with this. I want to go see this close up. So I went and saw it close up, and I said, oh my, wow. Wasn't expecting that. It was way louder and way more aggressive than I thought it was going to be. Man. Yeah.
All right, loved people. There you got it, Andy Meatwagon.
There we go.
This guy's a cultural punk rock. I'd call you an icon.
Icon?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Whatever,
I've been around for a long time, man.
A bag puppet, whatever.
It's
you're a cool dude, man.
Bart Mendoza actually kind of interviewed me for a magazine a few months ago, and he's like, you got to write some sort of an intro for this. And then I realized, geez, I've been playing in San Diego in the 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010, 2020s. That's 5 decades.
You know what? It gives me an idea right now.
5 decades.
Myself. I know I talk about myself a lot. Sorry.
We all talk about you too. Just bad shit.
I'm sure you do. It's okay though. I've been writing a book, trying to get a book written. Now I'm thinking, what if I get all of us? Not who we would get in San Diego. There's probably like 20 people that we could write off the hand. Get everybody to write like a chapter or 2.
Oh, you mean the legacy people, the old school people? One thing I love about punk rock is that, people, it gets in people's blood and it stays there. You don't stop, and some people, of course, they're kind of like it, for a little while. But people that are in bands, that's it, man. It's a lifetime commitment, like it or not.
So we do that amongst all of us. We throw it all in and write like a book together and throw it into a little coffee table fucking punk rock book with old flyers and shit. I think it'd be kind of cool.
Kind of. I still feel like the new kid on the block, even though I've been here for 40 years.
We'll have you on the new kid.
Yeah, the new kid.
We'll put you on the last chapter.
Still people are like, who the hell's this guy? Because, a lot of people, the locals I meet, they've all known each other since 1980 or whatever. They went to school together or whatever, and came up getting into punk rock together.
I
feel like the old man because it's like I was into it before, but nobody wanted to listen to punk rock.
San Diego, I think, has a very, very rich history and
it does.
And a deep.
It does. It's like the more you scratch and the more you know. Yeah. It's just like, wow, I had no idea. People are doing this,
And then it's like, dude, I know it's been a while, but Meatwagon, the last time they played was like 30 years ago, kind of like the original. The stories.
Yeah.
All right, there.
Here's how you should do that. You should just like throw out a topic or something and just have everybody write like a couple paragraphs on it.
See,
then,
that's what I'm trying to.
Then you stitch it together. That's the oral history thing. Like, please kill me, another thing. They bring up a topic, and then you just let people talk about that topic.
That in a way, but
yeah,
let's do that. You be down or what?
Sure.
Okay, I'm gonna keep to that.
Sure. Old Downtown, that would be a great story. Remember shows Old Downtown before it was the gas lamp?
Oh
yeah. People were just like, we're going to go play a show downtown. People would be like, you're going downtown? No.
Remember the arcade that was down there on the we used to go down there and fucking play pinball and shit.
Yeah.
It was so seedy.
I remember somebody said, we're going to go see, because I had met Cliff. I had moved out here and I'd met Cliff in 86. And I'd seen Social Spit a couple times with like 2 different lineups, I think at Jackie Robinson's and at the Spirit Club. And then it's like, let's go downtown to the Saigon Palace. We'll go see Social Spit,
Yeah.
And I went down there and it's just like, you could fucking smell the piss from outside. It was so intense. And, it was like what you would expect a post-war Filipino bar, down in the freaking gas lamp to be like. It was gnarly, and Social Spit was playing down there and they had, brand new rhythm section of Dave, Psycho, Nestor, and Javier, and I was just fucking blown away. And then I'm hearing gunshots in the bathroom. I'm like, what the fuck?
Look, here we go. Look at another story. It's hard to even like get up and get out.
Yeah. Pull out a 44 and fucking shoot it next to this guy's head and go, quit fucking around.
You ever been down to TJ on New Year's Eve? Oh, shit,
no.
dude. On Revolution down there. Pow, 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 pow. No. Fucking blackout one time we were down there. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
People are nuts down there.
But, yeah, there was lots of punk rocking going on before I ever made it to this town,
Well, See, look at that.
Wisdom.
Words of wisdom.
Yeah, I guess.
With Andy Meatwagon.
Yeah, I didn't start anything. I didn't finish anything.
You sure started up a lot of stuff, though, didn't you? Huh?
No, I tried to,
Hey, man.
I tried to.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
Thanks for having us.
You make sure you tell your mama. You know what?
I will.
We're gonna get on this, and I'm gonna get this fucker up that quick.
Cool.
Okay.
Will do. And happy birthday to my mom, 89 years old.
So happy birthday, Mom.
Yep. Sharp as a tack.